Hello everyone, hope you are well. I wanted to continue on my legend series, and today I wanted to give one of Australia's greatest batsmen and an absolute legend for Australian cricket, someone who was a very attacking player and the first ever player in cricket history to score a double century and century in the same test. I'm talking about the great Doug Walters of Australia. He was born 21st December 1945 in New South Wales, Australia, and he played first class cricket obviously all his life for New South Wales. He played 74 test matches in all for Australia, and he scored 5,357 runs at an average of 48.26, and he scored 15 hundreds, and his highest was 250 runs. He also took 49 wickets as a part-time bowler. He had a golden arm, and he had broken many important partnerships. And in first-class cricket, he scored more than 16,000 runs with 4,500 hundreds as well. And Doug Walters, he made his test debut in 1965-66 series, Ashes series against England at Gabba, Brisbane. And in the first innings, his first debut innings, he scored 155, which was a rare thing at that time. One of the few first players to score a test century on debut. And in the second test match as well, he scored 100 as well. And in the 1968-69 Test series versus West Indies, in the first Test he was injured and he couldn't play. But in the remaining four Test matches, I mean, he scored like a Bradman, like 699 runs at an average of 116.5, which was an amazing amount of runs that he scored in four matches, 699 runs. And in that Test series, that is where his highest score was 242, and that is when in Sydney he scored 242 in the first innings and 103 in the second innings, and that came against an amazing West Indian bowling unit that had the great Wes Hall and Charlie Griffith, who are one of the greatest and the most feared fast bowling opening partnership of all time, Wes Hall and Charlie Griffith. And there was also Sir Garfield Sobers in the team, and also the great off spinner Lance Gibbs. So that double hundred and century that he scored in that test came against quality bowlers. I mean, a top two feared fast bowlers, as well as Sobers, a fast bowler who could also bowl spin, and the great Lance Gibbs as well. And in 1974, I mean, he actually scored a century in one session. It was a famous century. Famously, he scored a century in just one session at the WACA at Perth, the Western Australian Cricket Association, against England. And he hit a six of Bob Willis of the last ball of the day to bring up his century. So that was a very famous innings. And Doug Walters, by the way, in his early in his career, he was compared to Bradman as well. They said he was like Bradman, but Doug Walters always said that he didn't mind. He wasn't bothered that people compared him to Don Bradman, and he also said that he never expected himself to step into the shoes of Sir Don Bradman. But that is how highly he was regarded as well. And in the 1971-72 series, that was an unofficial test series, and the rest of the world team was led by the great Sir Garfield Sobers. And in that series, Doug Walters scored 355 runs in just four matches at an average of 71. So that is another series where he really played well and scored a lot. And by the way, he did lose two important years of his career because he had to go for his military service. So two very valuable years were lost because of that. And he was known as a very attacking batsman, and he was a part of that 1975 World Cup team of Australia that ended up as runners-up to West Indies. There is also a Doug Walters stand at the Sydney Cricket Ground. There used to be, but in 2007 the ground was demolished. But there was a stand in his name, and he was a very colorful character as well. I mean, a lot of people loved Doug Walters. He was full of fun, and he was a very jovial person to be around with. I mean, someone like Shane Warne, for an example. Doug Walters was a legendary character, and I've heard a lot about Doug Walters in commentary box from Bill Lawry, Richie Beno, Mark Taylor, all of them. I've heard Ian Chappell. I've heard a lot about Doug Walters and how good he was, and about how much he did for Australian cricket team. And I also heard from a lot from him, from Ian Chappell, that Doug Walters was a very, very attacking batsman. I mean, he had a very attacking mindset, like most Australian players do have actually. And also, I've heard about that double century and century, which made him the first player ever to do that. And he was a very fine, fine player without any doubt. And he was a part-time bowler, like I mentioned in the beginning. I mean, he took 49 wickets, and they say he used to have a golden arm. There are a lot of bowlers who are known to have a golden arm. I mean, every time you bring them into an attack, they kind of get a wicket. And Doug Walters was one of them. I mean, he broke many partnerships, and that's how he took 49 wickets in his Test career. And he also scored a lot of runs for New South Wales. I mean, someone who scored big runs. I mean, his average of 48.26 is a big, huge average, and he probably could have. I mean, 74 Test matches he played for Australia, but those 2 years that he lost to the military service, he could have probably played a lot more. I mean, he probably could have played close to 100 matches. He would have probably had around 7,000, 8,000 runs. And that was two of his valuable young years as well lost, but he never complained about it and he took it in his stride. And he's a very legendary character in the Australian cricket circles, Doug Walters. I mean, he is known as one of the best. I mean, if he was compared to Don Bradman, you can imagine how highly he was thought of. I mean, Doug Walters is a legendary name in Australian cricket. Anyway, that is my video on Doug Walters, who was one of the greatest Australian batsmen and such an attacking batsman, and the first player in the history of cricket to score a double century and century in one test. Hope you have enjoyed this video. Take care. God bless you.